Hello and welcome to episode 55 of our Conversations to Connect. Let's Get Real Talk, powered by Exceptional Connections. I'm Cyndi ONeill-Dady, the founder and chief connector of Exceptional Connections since 2009. At Exceptional Connections, we offer intentional and innovative solutions to boost your business. And each month, we nominate different members of our Exceptional Connections community to have a meaningful conversation with. So be sure to get comfortable, get a cup of tea, beverage of your choice, and take notes. And be sure to add questions and comments to the chat box to engage with us during our conversation. And around the 45-minute mark, I'll unmute the lines and invite our listeners to ask their questions, share their ahas, their epiphanies, and enter into our thought-provoking conversation. So in the course of these 55 episodes, we have encouraged and supported our community to stay connected during these challenging and uncertain times. And so as we get started, I invite you to set aside distractions and invest your attention at the conversation that's about to unfold. So look for just one idea, something that you can take away and put into action so that you don't cheat yourself out of the time you've invested here. And so our conversation to connect this week is with the amazing Jean Kercheval from Lake Forest Park, Washington. Woohoo! Welcome, Jean.
Thank you.
So excited to be able to share with our listeners some tips that you've created, 3 tips to show up confidently and authentically in our own skin.
Thank you. Excited to be here.
Yes, I'm so glad to have you. Thank you for sharing your wisdom with our community. So before we dive into this intriguing conversation, I want to take a moment to introduce you to our listeners and share your passion for helping women show up confidently and authentically. So Jean Kercheval is passionate about helping women 45 years and old. Jean Kercheval is passionate about helping women 45 years old. How am I doing that wrong? Passionate about helping women
45 years and beyond, maybe.
Oh, okay. 45 years and beyond, see their own beauty and see it through the lens of her camera. Rough start there. Okay, here we go. So she is a personal branding photographer and also specializes in creating beautiful women's portraits. So Jean works closely with her clients to help make their vision come to life and includes a branding workbook, wardrobe assistance, and a Pinterest mood board in their pre-shoot consultation. So you provide a lot of support for your clients. That's beautiful. So Jean believes that every woman is worthy of a personal photo shoot experience and deserves beautiful images of herself. So, Jean, before we jump in here, share a little bit with our listeners about your journey. Bring us up to speed.
So I'm going to try and keep it brief because I go back this a little bit. And okay, I started taking pictures many years ago when my son, who's now 30, was in preschool. And I used film, and of course, back before digital age, and had a dark room and did all that. And then I had 3 kids in 5 years and was overwhelmed and had a husband that traveled half the time and got involved in their schooling and volunteer work and put everything on the side. And then they grew up and I started doing part-time jobs and got into, started doing social work, which served me well later in my business because I'm kind of a part-time therapist as well in my business. And so then about 8 years ago, once the kids were older, I decided to start my own business. And I just was really drawn towards photography and just couldn't stay away from doing portraits, basically. And at that point, I found an online mentor, and she was a business mentor and a photography mentor named Sue Bryce. And she's amazing. She's an international phenomenon now. Just if you ask around this, just around the portrait world, everybody knows her. And so then about 3 or more years ago, I found a business coach here locally, And she really helped me hone in on my target audience, because I was kind of going off track and photographing everybody and hitting up the wrong networking groups and not marketing correctly and not getting my personal brand out there correctly. And so I realized my target audience was women 45 and older, and I tend to go around my own age in the 50s. And personal branding is what I really started taking courses on and just noticing and getting fixated on. And then let's see. And yeah, that was pretty much my target audience. So
Beautiful, beautiful.
that's
Well,
kind of where I up to today.
how you got to where you are today. And well, I love that you mentioned the mentors that have made a difference to you along your journey. We all have that, right? And I think the fact that you were open to their feedback has really helped you to grow your business where it is today and be able to make it a business that is is such a blessing to so many.
Mm-hmm.
So I love that. And then, again, part of that is just really getting clear about who our target audience are.
Yeah.
For any of our businesses, right?
Mm-hmm.
And isn't that part of your model? I don't want to get us off track here, but you do the personal photo shoots and then also the personal branding. But the marketing piece is really important in all that.
Well, yeah, it's a big part of personal branding. There's so much.
So before we get going here on that, because I want to make sure that we give the tips, that people can take away and be able to help them to hire a photographer or understand the process that you go through. Mm-hmm. So why do we need personal branding photos?
Well, it's mostly so people know that you are a professional and you take yourself seriously and your business seriously, and you're willing to invest in yourself and your business, and they can tell. And before people will work with you, they always check you out online in these days, and they'll look at your website and your social media presence. And when you're an entrepreneur, they are working with you, and most of us are solopreneurs, so they're going to be working with you, and they want to know your face. If they look at a website and they don't see you there, that's not cool. And they need to trust you. And because like me, there's a million photographers out there, right? And they need to look at my website and see my face and start to get familiar with me and see that in my social media too. They need to see me and understand, kind of start to get some idea of who I am. Right. And so you need to be authentic too. That's like the keystone of personal branding is authenticity. And so you need to present your best and most authentic self and show that you're willing to invest, and make yourself look professional.
Yes. You've made so many good points in that little blurb there. And one of them is just, it takes me back to, like, if I'm entertaining somebody as a spotlight speaker for our monthly networking organizations, and I look them up and I see there's no photo. Yuck. That's a little, or I'm sure you found this a lot, people using selfie pictures.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, no.
I know.
Not for that, right?
Contact them and say something, but I can't. That's insulting. So.
Well, and how many times I've seen a lot of people where they're sitting in their car and they're taking a selfie. So you actually see the car. In
your social media, it's like Instagram. It's good to have your professional, then some, not professional and professional. Sure. And, to have like a mix, I think, or the videos that are the non-professional of you hiking down the trail or whatever. And that's good. But there needs to be some professional, especially on the websites,
Well, so that's a really great designation there, because you can have that. You could take photos. There's nothing wrong with taking selfies in your car or, of yourself, but not as the main photo for your social media sites or your website, right?
Yeah.
Those need to be professional. Those need to be branded. So I love that. That's really great, important point to kick us off here. Mm-hmm. So tell us more about personal branding.
Well, let's see. For personal branding, let's see, if you were to come to me, I'm not sure what you're looking for, but I would do I would ask you, where do you want to put your photos? Like, there's numerous places you can put your photos. You can, of course, your website. And a lot of people that come to me are just starting up a new website. Usually they're not brand new, but well, some of them are, but they are creating a new website or revamping their website. And or they want to post on social media, usually both. Some of them want LinkedIn pictures, but there's a couple of different kinds of photo shoots for those. And there's numerous places. They need a bio for, like, say I needed a bio shot for this talk right here.
Sure.
And people call you last minute and say, okay, I need a bio shot. And then you're going, I don't have anything. I mean, how many times does that happen, you know?
Right.
So you have to have some stuff in your arsenal. And usually you need more than just a couple pictures. And then if you're an author, you need pictures. I just photographed a musician a couple days ago. She needs pictures for certain things. And yeah, like I said, I just did an author for a few of them for books, book covers, back the books. What else? There's just all sorts of things. So
it's about being proactive, right? Being, getting it ahead of time. If you're an author, before your book is finished.
A lot of people need them last minute. And then there's, we create a vision board on Pinterest so that we collaborate on that. So, sometimes I create the whole thing myself because people don't really know their vision, but other people come in knowing exactly what they want. So, and then I do a wardrobe consult, and I can go into wardrobe later. And I have a branding workbook. I do a lot more than most branding people. And that's
awesome.
where we get and a lot of times I help with this because people, unless they have a branding coach or something, they don't really know what their message is. So we kind of go through it, and some people know exactly what to do, but most people don't. So I help with the messaging, who their target audience is. Usually they kind of know the colors of, for their website, because if it's light and airy, which it usually is, I use a white backdrop or a light backdrop, or if it's colorful, or if it's more artistic, which it usually isn't, but like this musician was. We do all those things with the branding, messaging, and the workbook, and the vision board, and figuring out where to post the photos so I know what aspect to take them for brand, for website this way, for social media this way, just all
Gosh,
that.
I love the way you just really take on the whole marketing experience. And then, if they're working if they want their photos posted on the website, I heard, you and I talked about this, getting ready for this conversation, how you want those colors to work well with their branded colors, right?
Yes, because
so that nothing is, it's not conflicting.
Right. If you take pictures for your website, I mean, if you go to another photographer, even, you want to have, hopefully, the pictures that are, or the colors that are going to be on your website, your fonts, and if you have graphics, and then you can match, say, your shirt to the blues in the fonts. And if you have a white backdrop, which a lot of people like white right now, you can wear the same colors in your clothes, or accent color or something as the colors in your website.
Right.
And we talk about that ahead of time. And some people don't know the colors yet, but then we just wear colors that they like.
Right. Well, but it's so integrated. And that's what I love about what you do, is that you really want to make sure that it's a good experience for them. You give them the tools. If they don't already have somebody guiding them in the marketing, you're helping them with that. It's really beautiful. I love the care, personal service, the customer service, and the care that you take to support your clients. So can you give us some examples of things that people can bring to a photo shoot to make it more personal?
Sure.
Kind of some DIY tips.
Yeah, we talk about this a lot before the photo shoot, in the consult. And we often have 2 consults, which is like the initial, before we schedule, and then the consult with the workbook and all that. And so this is the one right before the photo shoot. And we talk about like it depends on your industry, like spiritual guide a little bit ago. She brought in a singing bowl and some tarot cards and this pendant that she held out in front of her. And what else did she brought in this spray. This is Hugh Dietz. and then let's see, few authors I've done brought in their books that they wrote, and we put them on a table and she held them. And then another author brought a pile of books that were influential to her, and we piled them up on a stool. And
I love that.
Yeah, and a couple of online people have brought in their laptops and books, and I have a coffee mug and a desktop, and then a plant and flowers, and musician brought in guitar, and physical therapist brought in some weights, and speaker brought in a mic. It just depends who they are,
right?
What they bring in,
right? So it just supports kind of developing their persona and their influence. And I imagine you take some pictures like with a mic and without, so that they have multiple uses, right?
Definitely. We do all different kind of poses and
outfits. I love that. I think that's so great.
Mm-hmm.
So your attention to detail is really beautiful, Jean. I think that's really something that has made you so unique in the industry, to be able to take that extra, go the extra mile for people and provide them with the tools that they need, and also, just come alongside them and offer suggestions they may not have thought about. Right? So take us through, I love all these tips. These are so great. So help us understand what to expect from a photo shoot.
Let's see. Okay, I don't know how much detail. So logistics.
Yeah, just how do you prepare somebody? Like if you're, if I was a client.
Yeah, like ahead of time, we have these 1 or 2 Zooms, and I just really connect with the person online and I hear a lot of their kind of insecurities, and because everybody has insecurities, whether it's a lot of times it's their weight. That's a really common one, especially since COVID. And so we kind of talk about that, and I reassure them that that's a very common problem. And so I'm used to shooting for that, right? And it depends what you wear and the angles and how I photograph, and we deal with that. And then everybody says they're not photogenic. That's so common. And they see that that's not the case. And I don't see them that way, of course. And people are afraid they're going to be uncomfortable. They're like, how do you make everyone else look so good and authentic? And it's like, it's okay. It's going to work. And it does. And what else? People are just worried about things. They don't like their nose. Well, I don't shoot profile, and it works. And everybody's very vulnerable. And I've had people get to the photo shoot, and before they get here, they've been, like a couple of people cried before they came. They were so nervous. I know. Oh, it's so sad. But they were fine. As soon as they got here, I provided professional hair and makeup, and they did that. There's music and champagne, and they calmed down. And then like the first 10 minutes into the shoot, it was cool. And they got comfortable. It's a safe space. It's me and them one-on-one. The makeup artist leaves, and we have fun, and they get more and more confident, and then they leave feeling really good. And it's like every time, it's just like magic, And
I love that you say that, because it is magic what you do. From your sharing with me how you just allay people's concerns, how do you make them feel beautiful and just grounded and centered. And I think you should share, you said that a lot of times you'll show them a picture of themselves. Take us through that experience.
Yeah, usually as I start out, there's natural light over here and there's some windows. And then I start there, do some stuff, start them sitting, and then standing up, because people feel more comfortable sitting, right? And then we go over to this, there's like professional big strobe lights over here, backgrounds. And we do numerous things. I make a little map ahead of time. Okay, we're gonna do this outfit. So we look through their outfits they bring, because we decide on the outfits ahead of time in the Zoom. But I say bring lots of stuff just in case. And then we map out, okay, we're gonna do this background, this outfit, this background, this outfit. So anyway, I start over there. It's a beautiful white environment. And I take some pictures and I show them the back of the camera and they're like, oh, that was really good. That's me, because they had their hair, their makeup. It's a beautiful environment. It's white, lights bouncing everywhere. And they're almost every time that just calms them down and they get more confident,
It's funny because even like the Zoom experience, we're looking at ourselves and we're like our biggest critic, right?
Oh,
we're like, oh, my hair, oh, my this, glasses. But the other person doesn't see us that way, right? So you're showing them how you see them. And I think that's what's so beautiful.
Yeah, definitely.
I love that. And so part of the experience, is being able to, kind of extrapolate or get from people, like, what do they want to get out of it? Like, do you want, kind of going back to what you said earlier, inquiring and asking questions, discovering, like, do you want a professional look? Do you want is this, what is the purpose of the photo shoot?
Oh,
now, we're specifically talking about branded ones right now, but like you mentioned, you have different backgrounds. So the light and airy versus the dark versus a, dark background versus artistic. So those are all things you'll want to know ahead of time, right?
Oh, yeah. We talk about that ahead of time. And I usually say either ahead of time or when they get here, because they have been thinking more. And I say, okay, what are the top 3 to 5 words of what you want to look like in this photo shoot? Everybody wants to look approachable, right? Do you want to look joyful? Do you want to look more professional, more conservative, more, playful? Give me 3, 4 words of what you want to, your message that you want to come across.
Right.
And so that kind of helps, because if they want to be joyful, we'll do woo, or something like that. But if they want to be more conservative, they want to be like a real estate agent or a lawyer, then they want to come across differently, more like a finance person or something.
Right. Well, that's so brilliant, because I mean, you can always just assume like, okay, you're real estate or you're finance, you want to look like this, but they might have a different expectation, right, of how they want to come across. So that's great that you're, kind of pulling that out from them so that you can have matched expectations, in terms of the final product.
And the Pinterest board helps a lot with that, because then we can see, because mostly it's posing.
Okay.
And we can see the posing.
And that's it. That's done ahead of time?
That's done ahead of time.
Okay. So
and I show them
that
usually I'll show them kind of at the shoot, and we'll go through beforehand, because we'll kind of sit down either just before they get in hair and makeup or just after. Or sometimes I'll show them at the Zoom ahead of the shoot, and I'll get their okay. Sometimes they'll add it themselves, they'll add poses themselves, but usually I do the whole thing just based on what we've been talking about. And just, because they don't have time, because they're so busy, so I'll just kind of go through their messaging of what we've consulted about and figure out what they want. And sometimes I'll go through some other people I've done that are in similar fields. Like I've done a lot of coaches, and so I'll pick out pictures I've done before of people with the same messaging and say, is this what you are looking for?
Right. Well, yeah. So I'm just, again, the communication is critical, right?
Yes.
Being able to have a good communication between yourself and your client. And then the next piece, which you've mentioned already, but I think it bears, kind of circling back with, is listening. And your ability to just really listen, like you said, kind of, you're a bit of a therapist. I love that. Because you really need to understand what they want. And sometimes people don't know, do they? I mean, sometimes they don't really know.
They don't. Yeah.
So you can guide them on that based on their industry.
Definitely. Yeah. And I also guide them completely through the shoot on their posing, because nobody knows how to pose. Right. I mean, we're not models. Even I had my own shoot last summer, which I was very grateful for. I had a great photographer, and I don't even know how to pose. I need guidance. And I mean, I know better than most people.
Mhm.
And she actually didn't give me a ton of guidance, but everybody needs guidance of where to put their hands. And
Right.
it's just, I would hate to have a photographer say, just stand there.
Because that's what I'm thinking of is remembering my last photo shoot. You feel awkward.
Oh,
It's
everybody feels
like you say,
awkward.
like, where do I put my hands?
Yeah,
How do
where do I put my hands? How do I?
like some people do this or whatever,
Yeah, and you
It's
need
not
guidance. I mean, otherwise it's just
right.
not a good photographer.
Yeah. Yeah. Getting that guidance is important.
Mhm.
Um, okay. So why would I want to get personal photos for myself? Because I get the personal branding, I need to update my website or my social media. But why do people often get personal photos for themselves?
Oh gosh, lots of reasons. So, um, one reason is, okay, let me put it this way. I have one client who has this shelf that's filled, or maybe it's a mantle filled with influential women through the history that inspire her every day. Well, I took pictures of her, this woman, and she printed up, or had me print one of her beautiful pictures. And I did personal branding for her, but one of them turned out really beautiful and feminine. And she printed that up and put that on her wall of women she aspires to be, and just a leader. And I've heard that from like 3 clients in the last 6 months. So that's the woman I aspire to be. And
Oh, that's
they've all printed out those
beautiful.
pictures. And that's just kind of a even daily reminder of who
Mhm.
you are at your best.
Mhm.
And just to
Yeah.
have that beautiful picture, because I think every woman deserves a beautiful picture of herself.
It's
Don't you?
beautiful. Yeah, because it calls you higher. That's a
Yeah,
vision that calls you higher to aspire to
mhm,
greater heights than we think we can accomplish.
yeah.
It's
I mean,
really
I've got
beautiful.
one, and it's just great. And then also another reason, and I think you should have it printed, is because think of what your kids are going to find when they go back, when you're gone. They go back and look. Are they going to find nothing of you? No pictures? Because I think of your grandma, great grandma. I mean, wouldn't you love to have a beautiful portrait of her, and
Yes.
just to have? And
Yeah, those are priceless.
they're
Pictures of
priceless, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
pictures of our parents and our grandparents and stuff, especially well done ones. They are
Yeah.
priceless.
Yeah.
They're beautiful.
I just think
Family
it's
heritage.
it's just really good. We should exist in photos, especially at our age.
Mhm.
I just think I mean, everybody, I wrote that blog, The Invisible Age. I don't know if you saw it. It's on my website, but it's just women of a certain age turn invisible, and in today's society. And so I think it's good to have pictures at our age.
Mhm.
I don't know how else to explain that, but Hollywood ignores us, society ignores us. And
And they're harder on us.
yes,
A
yes.
lot harder on us than men of the same age.
Mhm.
That's very interesting. And so something that makes us feel good, about ourselves.
Yeah, because it's really confidence building. And as much
Mhm.
as I hate this word, but because it's so overused, but it's empowering. It really
Mhm.
is,
Mhm.
to have that experience, the photo shoot experience. It's really cool.
Right. And capturing like a moment of time in your life
Mhm.
when normally, like if we're just running around the house or doing gardening or stuff, we just, but to call ourselves to a higher level, right?
Yeah,
Look our
that's
best selves.
yeah, it's really special.
It is. It's beautiful.
Mhm.
Um, You know what, when you're talking, I'm thinking about like having a photo of yourself and how it's like, oh, I don't want a photo of myself. I have like a piano here over to the side, and I have all the pictures of my grandchildren and my children. And, I'm in some of them because I'm holding a baby or something, but not just me. But there's certain, like the movie Coco, in the Mexican heritage, and I have a Mexican heritage.
Yeah, I've
I
seen
mean, having pictures of loved ones that have passed on,
that.
that's part of the tradition. It's a
Yeah.
beautiful tradition, right? To honor them, because if the part of the tradition is if something happens to the photos, their memory is gone.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? That is our way of, honoring them, is to have their picture framed.
Yeah. I know so many of us women are just in like the family photos.
That's
And
true.
why don't we get photos? Don't we deserve them?
Well, yeah, but I think it's beyond deserving. I think we don't feel worthy, or why, like, who would want, you know what I mean? So I think your encouragement to do it as a marker for the family, to empower you, I think those reasons are so beautiful, to invest in ourselves, right?
Yeah, yeah, definitely.
Because as women, a lot of times we invest in our husband and our family and our
Right,
grandkids, but not in ourselves. And so that's a physical representation of that. Because
right.
people might say, well, what does that mean? Well, yeah, you can take a bath or, get a pedicure, but
Well,
do
you can
something
think of it
that's
as gifting to your family if you want to think of it that way too.
Mhm,
If you just can't do it for yourself for some reason.
right.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's beautiful. So, well, okay, we've kind of talked about a lot of wonderful tips here to help people with that process. Is there anything else that you would want, a prospective client to know, or you worked with so many people over the years and helped them with their insecurities? What else would you want them to know about you, the process that you go through, or the process in general, that would encourage them?
Um, let's see. Um, on the spot.
Well, creating, like you've said already. So kind of in closing, we just talk about, like, slowing down, sharing the process, right? To do that, making the choice to make yourself, put yourself as a priority,
Yeah,
and then how you create a safe place for people.
yeah, yeah. Well, let's see. Um, I've had a lot of women come to me to celebrate certain milestones. Oops, I just got a couple of messages down here I didn't notice.
So one of the questions from Monica has here is, she asked, do you take photos only from your studio space, or do you go to offsite locations as well? That's a great question.
Mhm.
Um,
I almost always do studio, but I have done offsites.
okay.
It let's see. I charge a little extra, but I have these, I don't know what you were thinking, Monica. I do have a lot of nature sites that I've done. I've been in like 3 or 4 magazines where I've done river shoots up on Highway 2. My in-laws used to have a beautiful cabin up there, and I didn't shoot at the cabin. I shot on the Skycomish River. And then I've done some in woods that are right behind my house. And but I've done some in offices and stuff, but I prefer to do just natural light instead of having to drag out my lights around.
Mhm.
So I'm kind of cutting back on those. So I don't know if you have
But do you take pictures of people in the woods? Like if they have an affinity to,
Mhm.
mountains or whatever, you would go and do that.
I love
Or,
to do like women in beautiful dresses in the woods.
oh, really?
But I've done a lot. I've done personal brandings
Mhm.
in the woods, like
Mhm.
for
Mhm.
coaches, life coaches, and a couple of spiritual types of coaches and
How about the garden?
natural healer. What's that?
How about the garden? I
Oh, yeah.
am working on my garden here.
That'd be fun. Yeah.
Yeah.
I did one gal that was in a garden many years ago. Yeah.
Fun. Well, I love this conversation. This has been so much fun, and you've given us so many great tidbits. And I love your attention to detail and your desire to prepare your clients and get really clear about what their expectations are, because I'm sure that all translates into the finished product.
Yeah. Yeah, it does. It works out.
So why don't we have you share like how somebody can work with you and or get to know you, learn more. I will have all the information about this conversation and the contact information in the description, but it'd be great to hear from you on the best way that people can contact you.
Well, you can contact me in a few ways through my email, which you can have it's jean.kercheval@gmail.com.
Okay.
Or you can get on my Instagram, Jean Kercheval, and DM me there, or my Facebook page, Kercheval Photography, or my private Facebook page, Jean Kercheval. And I do free 30-minute Zoom consults. I guess that's it, right?
Perfect. And then your website.
Oh, my website, of course, is www.kerchevalphotography.com.
And you have beautiful pictures and examples of other clients that you've done over the years that you can check out. So, well, thank you so much, Jean. I really appreciate you taking the time for this conversation. But before we close, let's go ahead and open the lines for anybody who has any questions. You can unmute yourself and feel free to ask questions, and we can continue this conversation and get some additional tips and ideas from Jean, since we have her available for us right now. So feel free to unmute. And if anybody, just wait a second. If they don't have questions, we can go ahead, and I see somebody's unmuted. So
Were you gonna say something?
Chuck, do you want to?
Yeah, I thought I'd ask a question. So how do you get people comfortable and loose enough so you can capture like their personality or who they are on film? Whatever it is today.
Yeah. Mostly we just talk. And it's, that's such an interesting question. People ask me that all the time, and it's so hard to answer. We connect before the photo shoot pretty well. So, but we talk, we get laughing. Such a hard question. And I have to notice it more.
It sounds like you put people at ease.
Yeah, I just put people at ease. And champagne helps sometimes. For those who drink. Not everybody, it's only about half the people, 2/3 that drink. They don't drink very much.
That's funny.
Yeah, but yeah, we just, because they feel nervous and I reassure them. We put music on. Just, I'm compassionate with them. And
well, it sounds like, Jean, that you create a safe space for people to just be themselves.
yeah.
And that, that's enough. And we all need that reassurance, I think. But, you're kind of a guide in that regard, because you're capturing their essence, right?
Yeah. That's what I try to do. I think I do that.
Yeah, that's beautiful. That's a great question, Chuck, because it's true. People feel, how do you put them at ease? It's a gift that you have, Jean. That's part of the magic, right? So Monica wants to know about any special projects that are in the works this year.
Oh yeah, I have a special project. I'm creating a coffee table book, and it's about artists and their obsessions and passions, and how these lead them to excellence in there.
Mm.
And it's about 15 to 20 artists from all over. I'm going
Mhm.
to Nashville pretty soon, and I've got a couple, 2 or 3 there. Hopefully one in London, maybe in May, and
Wow.
one in Maui. Just a couple others, one in Canada and Orcas Island, and then the rest I think here, maybe one in Florida. And interviewing and photographing them. And yeah, 15 to 20 in a book. I've got a publisher, and I'm really excited about them. So
Wow, what a beautiful project.
yeah.
And is this the first time you've done this?
I did something called Quarter Life Crisis Project, and it was very similar, where I had, I don't know how many, 20 young people, and I
Mhm.
interviewed them about the quarter life crisis, if you've heard of that, and
No.
photographed them. It's about a time of their journey, around 25 years old.
Okay.
Um,
What do you call that?
Quarter life crisis.
Quarter life. Oh, because they're 25 years. Okay, got it.
Mhm.
Quarter life crisis. Oh,
Yeah. And some people believe it, some people don't, but it's a pretty common thing, and it's a trying time, let's just say, and it's especially in
Mhm.
today's society,
Mhm.
with all the anxiety and everything going on. I was really curious about what was going on, and my kids were that age when I did it a few years ago.
Mhm.
It's on my website under projects right now.
Okay.
Mhm.
Did you have some good insights for just understanding your own kids through that?
Yeah, I did. Yeah. And yeah, I don't know if I want to go into it.
No. You don't have to. I think that's interesting.
Yeah,
So
it turned out
what
to
a
be
fun project.
I didn't get it out there enough. This one's gonna get out there.
So when will this be published?
Probably at the end of 2024.
Okay.
It's gonna take me a little while because I have to travel.
Right. And how many artists will you have at the end?
I think 15 to 20.
Okay.
Each have about 6 pages.
Okay.
Mhm.
Wow, what a beautiful project.
Yeah, it should be fun. Just starting.
Mhm. Well, Jean, thank you so much for taking the time to be on our Conversation to Connect today. It's really been a joy to get to know you and preparing for this talk, and also just to learn about how passionate you are about really coming alongside individuals and business owners, entrepreneurs, solopreneurs, and being able to capture their essence. That's really a trust relationship that they've, entered into.
Well, thank
And
you so much.
you've taken it on so beautifully.
Thank you so much for having me today.
Oh, you're welcome. It's been super fun.
Yeah.
So before we close, I always like to ask what parting remarks you want to leave with our listeners.
Well, just that it's my passion to work with women 45 and up and show them their beauties. I see it through the lens of my camera.
I'm going to say that last line again, or have you say it. Show them
Their beauty as I see it through the lens of my camera.
because that's really what it's all about, right? So they can see their beauty, because a lot of times we don't see our own beauty.
Oh, no, I know. I see it so often.
Oh, I love that. That's so gorgeous. So, well, thank you again. And I hope our listeners who are interested in learning more about you will check out your website, contact you, and take advantage of your 30-minute consultation. Until then, make every connection an exceptional connection. Bye, everybody.